that ever so often you check to confirm that what you're getting is actually what you ordered. I mean,
is there a formal procedure to request testing?
no.
No, you could send by email to all. You could call and you could send a request. We would note that we have a form to note your request. You could send it via email. You could call over the telephone. You could come to the bureau as well to the front desk. You could ask for anyone from EPLF and we could take your request.
So you send it to EPL, anyone in particular?
You could send it to either myself, Doodnath Singh, or well, you have our cards in your folder, so you could send it to anyone, Javondan, or Kwame Hewitt. In the request you could also state the size. With the sample size we require right now is 50 meters. Right? And your request you could state what type of cables you are asking to be tested. And from there we would get back to you by email or by telephone to meet that request. Yeah, well, upon your request, so if you have a cable that is to a US standard or IEC standard, we would get that standard, we'd go through requirements and see what the testing requirements are, and we'd get back to you to state, well, if we could perform the construction test or the electrical test. But most of the time, the electrical tests are almost compatible, but the construction tests vary between the standards. So we may have to find some other alternative to do the construction test for the UL standards and also the IC.
What we found here is in Trinidad we mainly use the cables conforming to the British standard, but we do have a lot of other cables conforming to the UL standards. We have some IC cables as well. So there are different types of cables used in different installations.
Do you do any high voltage cable testing?
But our equipment, the highest our equipment goes to is 50 kV. So our voltage test, we are capable to go up to 50 kV for our voltage test on the cable.
And you say up to 120 mm square.
Now, the equipment that we have for the KSM, we purchased the KSM to do the construction test. So that the camera size for that high definition camera could go up to 120 millimeters square. We could purchase another camera that could go up to 400 millimeters square. But in the standard, well, in the current standard, they have that you could also use a measuring tape or a caliper to do the dimensions. So it doesn't limit us to do the construction test. But for the voltage test, the bars that you will see on the top is very large bars, so you could accommodate to the largest type cables in the industrial market. So we could accommodate 400 millimeters square, even larger.
But you wouldn't have standardization of those very cables.
The accreditation, you
accreditation
No,
No.
because currently we have the accreditation for
up to 120.
And the type of insulation, is it medium, PVC, EPR, XLP?
Well, according to what the standard covers, so we'll have for the PVC or the XLP, we could cover it. But we're going through the new standards now to see what is the changeover from the BS 6004. So from there, the equipment that we have could measure any type, but we looking to develop the capability of checking the type of material of those insulations on the sheet. Because in the standard will cover like type 1 or type 4. So we need to have the capability to know what type it is in order to distinguish from the table for the tester.
How come we still having cables slipping through the crack and you go to the company and buy the cable, like the XLP cables, you know, you can't probably have them. That when it hits the sunlight and the weather, it start cracking up and the insulation starts shutting off. And you have to go back later on and replace somebody mains or something like that. How come you still have things coming through?
Yeah, well, that is an issue coming up with inspection, right, and the availability of some cables for inspection, right? So there may be, as I said, because of the way the market is structured, we encourage a lot of people to seek our services. There are some people who we may not have seen. And I'll tell you this, we have seen this, it's Trinidad, we all live here, we all know the operations. You go to purchase a cable, as an enforcement arm, they will not sell you that cable that they know that will nothing. It comes through some channels that I wouldn't want to use the word that is used widely on the whole. But it comes through some channels. It's like secret code sometimes.
Because
And they know who to deal it with. And when they see a strange face, they give you the proper thing. If they give you traditional wireman who are custom going and say, give me the cable.
Right.
So the onus of responsibility also lies with the person, not only with the regulatory arm. There's only so much we can see. And hence the reason why we attempt to go the route we are going. As I said, we can go the other route and be hard and very stern, but that will just contract the economy rather than allow the economy to grow.
So we see some strange cables now, and smaller ones with some different insulation, and it says heat resistance and oil resistance, and they're saying that without it, just you're going to buy, especially
My question to you, you have seen it. Have you notified our officers that we are seeing this on the market?
But that's what I want to know. If
Right, so you can come in, and there is an official procedure, go through our consumer liaison officer,
or bring a sample or something.
and as well as a sample, right? But unfortunately, we have to get it complete, because if it's an electrical resistance, if it's about construction, we'll have to subject it to the full ambit of the standard. And sample sizes start at 50 meters,
50 meters.
right? So once you have a suspicion on the market, it's the onus is on you to do that. And then we will take over from there and see where the supply chain is. If we have to go to our traditional supply chains, or we may have to hire a flying squad. Yeah, but I will allude to that there are certain importers that they're not traditionally in the importation of cable. They may have a contract, a special project, and they may not know that they have to subject the cable to a testing or get it inspected. When the entry is prepared, it will say insulated conductors or something like that they normally use. And I'm not saying that we are foolproof. We're going towards being foolproof with hopefully the electronic system as secure. But for the manual system that exists right now, some may slip through in the description, right? I'm not saying it is 100% guarantee. So that is why the more visible eyes out there, and with the assistance of the lab doing verification and testing, we can minimize, and I would hope that we bring it to zero, the incidence of faulty, substandard cables on it.
I say 50 meters, it is a lot.
Yes, it is a restrictive, but that is requirement of the standard, that is specific.
What form enforcement takes?
First is to remove from sale. If it is on the shelves, we can, and we have done so, remove them from sale. Okay? It could be a seizure. Once you go seizure, you're talking law, and you're talking getting things in process because you're taking someone's goods that they paid for off the market, and there's a legal process. So we have to be absolutely certain that this thing is not meeting requirements and it's a real health and safety risk. Once that has been done, there's a legal process to go through. Seizure is one. The manufacturer is notified via us as well as the supplier, and they have their unique way of dealing with their scenario. One thing we do insist is that a reship is not always on the cards. I am very strong in not reshipping to a manufacturer because shipping lines get diverted.
So I mean, send it back to...
Right. I would advocate that if it is not meeting requirements and there's no re-engineering that can be done here, it is destroyed. We have done so with a different commodity, namely the Christmas lights. And we have destroyed numerous strings, thousands of strings of lights already, without sending it back to the suppliers.
One of the problems with the points with the insulation cracking and whatnot, there's a suggestion that like for the AV cables, we use LV boots. How could you start the process to maybe to establish a standard or some kind of procedure or whatnot for that?
what you can do is to write to the Bureau with your concern, and we'll take it to our committee, because I know that has been the subject of discussion at the electrical inspectorate and our previous electrical committee several times. So you can write and we'll submit a response.
Right, to the
TTBS,
standard.
yeah.
Okay, director.
Yeah.
Similarly, for any product line that you see on the market that you want the Bureau of Standards to have a discussion whether you should have a compulsory standard or even a voluntary standard or a general practice, the channel is through the director. You make a written commitment there that you want to have a certain item investigated or addressed or looked at, right, in terms of having a standard of best practice or whatever being developed for it. That is where the change starts. Right, starts from.
Because not only cable, there are some.
Exactly, I know.
There are some meter banks and things we see.
Meter.
The banks are the,
Yeah, yeah.
like the substandard. So
Meter basis, meter hours.
Are there any more questions? Alright. Alright, thanks very much. Wait. Well, we have, I think this group, we can probably break up into two. There are two areas we're going to be looking at in the tours. We're looking at the main EPL lab, as well as for safety purposes with the high voltage and so on. We have the cable testing room separate from the Bureau's main building. That's just outside of the Bureau. In the same compound, yeah. So we can probably break up into two to have the tour. We have some refreshments for you just outside the room on the table there. So we can decide if we would like to go on the tour and then come back up and have some refreshments, and then we can talk one-on-one if you would like to talk to any one of us. Okay? Right. So Avinash in the back. Avinash is one of the staff of the Lab Services Division.
Separate group going to separate, and they don't.
Well, I'll take one group first, and then we'll come back up for the other one. Right? So one group could go with us now, while the others have some refreshments, and then we could probably bring back the first group, group A, to have refreshments.
The tour should not be very long. The tour should be 15 minutes. So, and halfway through, we'll take the second group down.
How many interested? Everyone interested in tours, right?